what's up, BC? It's Steve again. Time for another metal update. I know I've been doing a lot of metal updates lately. I've just been buying a lot of metal albums. Let's go ahead and get started. In the background, we're listening to The Accused, Grinning Like an Undertaker. Sorry. Pretty cool band. It's a hardcore band out of, I believe it was Seattle. I had never heard of it before. Their vocals are definitely hardcore, almost touching on punk. Some of the vocals get into almost a Darby Crash-esque mumbling sound, but still very good album. Apparently the cassette's pretty rare. I see one going for $100 and some odd on Discogs, which doesn't really mean much. It just could be some overzealous guy that thinks it's worth a lot of money. Regardless, we're listening to it in the background. Very cool. It goes a little bit between hardcore and almost thrash musically. Musically, it's an amazing band. I think the vocalist is not the greatest, but as somebody that really likes punk, especially old school punk, he would definitely fit that punk vocal mode, which you'll hear when the vocals kick in. But let's go ahead and get started. Turn that down a little bit. So I actually need your guys' help with the first one here. I'm having trouble finding the information that I need. I picked up an early copy of Hotter Than Hell yesterday. As you can see, very good condition. A definite high VG plus for the sleeve. The vinyl's immaculate. It sounds beautiful, and I say that knowing that this is known for being an album that is not the best sound quality, but as you guys can see, it's pretty shiny. There's no scratches, no marks, and as you can see, it's on the Blue Bogart label, the Blue Casablanca Bogart label. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Bogart label, there's a picture of Humphrey Bogart there. So here's my question to all of the Kiss experts. LJ, this might be a good one for you. So I looked up on Discogs, and they list the second and third pressings, which are both obviously on the Bogart label as well. However, they list a matrix on the second and third pressing, and there's no information on the first pressing. This is a Blue Bogart label, and there's no matrix on it, which you don't see. Oh, I guess there is a really, there it is. So I have to look this one up. It's the first through the either the first, second, or third pressing. Wow, that's hard to see the matrix on there. So I may have to look this one up and get back to you guys. But it's still 1974. Being on the Blue Bogart label, it's either the first, second, or third pressing. I was pretty stoked to run across this. You know, I could have either bought this early pressing for, I think I paid $25 for this one, or spent $35 for the repress. So I went ahead and went with the original early pressing. And like I said, it's in, as you can see, it's in immaculate condition. So, Hotter Than Hell. Next up, I picked this one up today. I walked in and there were 2 records sitting on the counter at my local record store. I kind of had to convince him to sell them to me. Apparently one of them, he had a customer come in and say, ooh, I really want that, and then they never made an agreement to buy it. But and then this one was sitting there. He hadn't looked at him yet, so I kind of got him to look him over and talked him into letting me get them. But the first one is The Last in Line from Dio. This is probably my third favorite Dio album. So for me, number 1 would be Strange Highways, which unless you're a hardcore Dio fan, you've probably never heard of. And I think there's one vinyl pressing of that album, and it's ridiculously expensive to get a hold of. I actually picked it up in a thrift store, the cassette, years ago, and just fell in love with it. It's by far my favorite Dio. Number 2 would be Holy Diver. And then, again, this one would be my third favorite, the Last in Line, so Dio. Now, the one that I had to kind of convince him to sell me, and I overpaid a little bit for it, but that's okay because I did want to have it, I had never seen it before, and anytime I run across hard rock or heavy metal that I've never seen, I do what I can to pick it up. I mean, the way metal collectors are these days, I may never see it again, you know. So this is Nemesis. They're a Texas hard rock band, and they've definitely got a southern rock feel to them. Some of the songs, you can hear them channeling Bob Seger or Lynyrd Skynyrd with a little heavier edge to it. As soon as I saw the album cover, I just wanted it. I just thought that was an awesome album cover. The vinyl looks like it's never been played. This is actually a German pressing too. And like I said, I think I talked them into selling it to me for $24. Sorry, I think I said $25 for $24. And he mentioned that he could probably get 30 or 40 for it from a buyer in Russia. So you know, I did what I could to just kind of. I mean, I'm a regular at his store, and I think that kind of is ultimately why he sold it to me. Like I said, I think I paid a little bit too much on Discogs. This pressing goes between $15 and $25 in this condition. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, with shipping, it would have cost the same, but definitely a cool album. I've already listened to it. Check it out, though, Axe. You know, Greeno, I know you like the Texas bands, so that's definitely one for you to check out there, buddy. So, next up, so this one is the local. Actually, we'll get to that in a sec. Speaking of local Texas bands and Greeno, Shotgun. Delasian Rock, just a great 70s rock band. This is one, Greeno did a video on it. I'll actually put a link down below reviewing this album. After watching his review, I went in and I think I went into iTunes and listened to each snippet of this album, and I was just really blown away. I'm surprised that this band just kind of disappeared. This is a band, they did a couple pressings in the early 70s, and they just vanished. And Shroom Angel Records just did a limited 500 run pressing. This is number 220 of 500. I highly recommend you guys get this one. This is just a great 70s rock album. Again, I can't believe that band, I never heard anything from or about them, or they didn't get any bigger, because it really is good rock. So next up again, so this one I've been looking at for a while. I've wanted it in my collection for a while, but it's one of those albums, I just don't think it's a great album, and the recording quality is really bad on this one. A lot of people say that Hotter Than Hell is bad recording quality. This is even worse. And there's a couple of good songs on here. Nothing to jump up and down about. I mean, Stay Hungry was definitely their swan song, and you know, definitely the best album of theirs. A lot of this one being bad recording probably has to do with the fact that it's on Secret Records. You know, it wasn't a big label or a major label. This is the UK pressing. So I went ahead and picked this one up for $7. Like I said, I've been looking at this one. It's been sitting in my local CD warehouse for as long as I've been going there, so probably 6 or 7 months. And I looked at it, and I kept looking at it, and I would always find something else that I wanted a little bit more. And finally broke down the other day. I couldn't find anything else, so I grabbed this one. So, and again, I was missing it's a hole I was missing. I didn't have their debut album. So, again, Under the Blade from Twisted Sister. Next up, this one is one we're all familiar with the record cover or the album art, and I've seen this album floating around for years and just never bought it, never listened to it. So I was actually on the website to buy the Shotgun album, and they also had this one for sale, so I picked up a copy of this too. Dust, Heart Attack. Some nice early 70s hard rock. It was 71 or 72. This is the Kama Sutra repress. Just some, again, great early 70s hard rock. Cool Kama Sutra label there. You see that? Little Adam and Eve there. Highly recommended. You know, and of course it's got that classic artwork. I want to say I used to have this poster on my wall. Not the Dust album cover, but the actual poster of the painting. Sorry about that. My computer just went black. Next up. So one of these I got for really cheap. One I overpaid a little bit for, but both worth it. First up, an original pressing, first U.S. pressing of Black Sabbath, Technical Ecstasy. This is my least favorite of the Ozzy era Sabbath. However, that's not saying much because I love this album. They really don't have an album that Sabbath, especially the Ozzy era, and as I've mentioned in my last couple updates, I'm kind of getting into the Dio era now too. I actually ran across a copy of Live Evil today that I came close to buying, but the sleeve is just trashed on it, so I just left it. You know, maybe I'll go back another day and maybe talk him down, or you know, we'll see. It's not rare enough that I'm willing to pay a premium price for a good quality CD with a horrible sleeve. Live Evil's out there, you know. But Black Sabbath, Technical Ecstasy, and I think I paid like $3.99 or $4.99 for that. So I got a really good, got it for a really good price, and it's still got the original sleeve in there. The next one I got is Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Definitely a favorite of mine. Again, it too is it's the first U.S. pressing. I don't know if you can see it though. The sleeve is just rough. Corner here is all mucked up, and it looks like I don't know if you can see it in the. It's slightly wavy where it's been hit with some moisture, but there's no mold on it, and the vinyl itself is nice and shiny, nice and immaculate. So I still picked it up. I just don't run across. This is the first early pressing of this one I've run across. So because I wanted it in my collection, I paid a little bit too much for it. I think I paid $18, which again, I mean, you know, you find it for 10, 12 bucks online, and with shipping and the grand scheme of things, it would be about the same. But regardless, I thought I had to have it for the collection, so Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. This one blew me away. I loved this album when it came out. A lot of people consider this band a hair metal band. I never did. I always thought that they stood out above all of those bands. And, you know, the fact that they came out around the same time as Guns N' Roses, it was kind of the end of that hair metal thing. But I ran across a copy of Skid Row's debut album. And I don't, this is the British copy, I think. I'm pretty sure this is the, maybe it's the French copy. You got the custom lyric sheet, and I mean, there's no tears or anything in that. Oh no, this is a German pressing too. Look at that. So that's a German pressing as well. And I didn't buy this at the same place that I bought the German pressing of Axe. It's just coincidental. I was actually thinking this was a French pressing. But I was really stoked. I need to find Slave to the Grind now. Slave to the Grind is my favorite of the Skid Row albums. But this one has my favorite Skid Row song on it, and the song that got me into them, which was 18 in Life. So, amazing album. Highly recommend it if you haven't heard it. If you have heard it, I still highly recommend it. Pick it up. Next up, Accept. And this is Kaizokuban. This is live from Japan. Pretty good album. It's a mini album, an EP, whatever you want to call it. I think I paid $8 for it. It's on Portrait. While the sleeve is probably VG Plus, the vinyl itself looked like it was unplayed. It's not my favorite, except it's a decent live show. I don't think the vocals sound all that good on this particular album. But other than that, I mean, I've still given it a couple listens. You know, I've still jammed out to it a couple times. It's still a great album. If you're a fan of Accept, it's one you got to have in the collection. So, Accept. Next two are from a band that I've been bringing up a lot lately, and that's Dokken. This is Under Lock and Key. A lot of people consider this to be Dokken's best album. I can't really argue with that. I actually prefer Tooth and Nail over this. I think Tooth and Nail is a little bit better. But I would say Under Lock and Key is right up there at that same level. Just a great, great album. It's Not Love is probably the biggest song off of here, but I think the whole album was amazing. And I really think, I mean, George Lynch was just on fire for this album. I mean, this was a perfect 80s metal album. I highly recommend this one. I've mentioned a couple times that I'm not a huge fan of Don Dokken, but he sounds amazing on this album. So another one that I'd highly recommend to any of you metal fans out there. And then sticking with Dokken, I also picked up Back for the Attack. I know that Mr. Hall of Fame just listed this as one of his favorites from when he was in high school, and this was a favorite of mine too. I love the artwork on this one as well. But again, just George Lynch at his best. I'm a huge fan of George Lynch, and I just eat up anything I can get a hold of with him on it. So another great one. Back for the Attack. This one, I didn't like this band when they were popular. And it's not because they were a bad band. There was another band doing the same thing that I just think is a lot better. As I'm getting older, you know, I'm getting back into some of the bands like this, and I do like this particular album. I do like the band. It's just at the time, they were overshadowed by another band that I liked. So this is Stryper, Soldiers Under Command. Great song. For you that aren't familiar with Stryper, they were a Christian metal band. Very overtly Christian, you know. It wasn't. You've got bands like Devil Wears Prada out right now that are Christian metal bands that don't really touch on. It's Christian theme, but they don't talk about God. I mean, these guys, that's what their lyrics were about. The band I was talking about that I got into more than them was White Cross. I just think White Cross was a better band. Their guitarist was amazing. And because I was into White Cross, I just thought they overshadowed Stryper for me. But going back and giving this a listen, it's a great metal album, and definitely worth checking out. So, Stryper. And then the last two, you know, I mentioned on my maybe 2 or 3 videos ago, I'm really working on building up my Judas Priest collection. I was never into Priest, and now that I hear I'm listening to him more in depth, I can't understand why I didn't dig him. I just remember hearing a song, and he hit with these screeching high vocals, and I just didn't get it. I didn't like it, so I never listened to Judas Priest. I'd obviously heard Breaking the Law and a couple of their other big tracks and dug them, you know, but I never just gave them a chance, gave them a listen. And it just may be that I was into other stuff at the time. You know, I didn't have a lot of money for cassettes back then, and later for CDs or cassettes or records. So I was real limited on what I could buy. I was a big fan of Motley Crue at the time. I was a big fan of Wasp, of Metallica, Megadeth. So if I had the money, I was buying albums like that, which is funny because these guys are influenced all of those bands that I just mentioned. So, but so I picked up 2 more Priest albums. I picked up Point of Entry. It's a good album, but it's probably my least favorite of all of the Priest albums that I've heard so far. A lot of people say that Turbo is their least favorite. I really enjoy Turbo. This one, I don't want to say I didn't enjoy it. I did like it, and it'll get spun. But it's definitely the least favorite of all the Priest albums that I've listened to. And then I also picked up Unleashed in the East. This is a really good album. I think it was filmed at the Budokan in Japan. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's where it was. Or not filmed, recorded. But it's a great live album. They've also got one called Unleashed in the West, which is a little rare and hard to find. I've actually heard that one. I think that's a little bit better. But still a great live album, and definitely worth checking out. The place where I got these also had the double live. I need to go back and pick that one up. I haven't listened to that one yet. But if it's anything like this one, it'll definitely be worth having in the collection. So, but let me see. I think that's it for my metal update. So tell me what you think. Post some messages. And just have a good weekend. And I'll check you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.